Today we're going to start talking about how to color our food truck with colored pencil. Now the first thing that we need to do is make sure that our truck is ready to be colored. So I want to make sure that I have fun and interesting images drawn on that go along with my theme. I probably need to have the title of my truck somewhere. I need to have a space for where my menu is going to be placed later. And I need to make sure that all of those details are traced with Sharpie. So I have missed just a couple little places here that I'm going to just go ahead and outline very carefully right now. I thought it would be fun to have an actual person in the window part of my truck. So I just did an oval head, 2 simple dots for eyes, eyebrows, a little curve for the nose, and then 2 more little simple curves for the mouth. So just using simple shapes can be kind of an easy way to draw a person. Then I just drew a neck, and just the shoulders go down to the bottom of the window. So I didn't even have to draw the body. And I'm just going to keep on going until all of my details are traced with Sharpie. And then I'm also going to use a big eraser to erase any leftover pencil. Now that my drawing is ready, I am going to start coloring. Now, when we color today, I want you to focus on 3 things with your colored pencil: neatness, blending, and value. And we're gonna go over each of those things quickly right now. Now, we're gonna start with neatness. So when we are coloring neatly, we are staying inside the lines. We are trying to make sure that we don't leave any white space in between our coloring, and basically we're trying to get our coloring to look smooth. So I've decided that the background of my truck is going to be blue because I think that will look good with my red ketchup and my yellow french fries. Blue is kind of a nice cool color that will make those warm colors really pop out. So I'm just going around and being really careful to try to color right up next to all of my objects without getting on top of them, and just make that background look as smooth as possible. I'm not pushing too hard because that will kind of tire out my hand quickly for this big area. I'm just kind of pushing gently and trying to get it to all look as even as possible. So I'm just gonna speed this up a little bit so that you can see me color a larger area neatly. Well, that kind of took a long time, but my coloring is nice and smooth and even. My colored pencil is a little bit flat, but that's okay because a big area like this, it actually goes faster if your colored pencil isn't super sharp, because instead of coloring with a teeny tiny little point, I actually have a larger, flatter area to color with, and it goes faster and it kind of ends up looking smoother with that flat pencil. So that's the perfect kind of pencil that I want to use for this area. Now the next thing that we're going to talk about is blending. Blending means that you're going to use more than one color in the same area. So for example, if I thought that this blue color that I chose was a little bit too light, I could pick a darker color of blue and just color right on top of it. And blended colors is a way for you to kind of customize your colors and get the exact shade that you need. If you don't see the right color for your ketchup or whatever, you could kind of mix it to get what you want. I also find that blended colors are more beautiful. And if I go over this area a second time, this second color is actually going to help smooth out my first color even more. So it kind of goes back to neatness. When we were talking about smooth areas of coloring, this second layer can kind of help smooth it out a bit. Now the last thing on our list today is value. Value is my favorite thing to do with colored pencil, and I think it's the thing that really gives your project kind of a wow factor and makes it look realistic. Value is when we're having the difference between lights and darks in our picture. It can be a place where we show shadows. So the more you research and the more you practice being an artist, the more places you'll be able to figure out where to place your value. But some places are underneath objects. So like where I have this shelf sticking out from my window, I could take my blue color and instead of pressing lightly, I might press just a little bit darker. And that makes it look like there's a little shadow underneath my shelf, and it makes my picture look three-dimensional, like this shelf is really actually sticking out like it would in real life and sort of casting a shadow on the truck beneath it. There might be other things on your truck that stick out where you could push a little harder with your colored pencil and make it look like there's a shadow underneath them. Now, a couple other things that I figured out from my research was my French fries. I started out coloring them just all one color of yellow, but I know that one side of my French fry might have a shadow on it. So I'm going to pick the left side, I guess, or top or whatever, side of each French fry, and I'm going to take a darker tan color and blend that into my yellow to make it look like this side of my fry is sort of more in shadow. So we do that side of one fry, we have to do the same side on all these fries. And that makes my fries more realistic with the shadow on there, and it also makes them more interesting to look at because I used more than just one color. And many colors is always kind of better than just one boring color on an object. Now the last place that I'm going to show value is a place I'm really excited about because it has a shiny highlight, and that is my ketchup. So I noticed when I was researching ketchup blobs on the internet that because the ketchup is wet, it has a very shiny and tiny little white highlight. So I am going to color my blob of ketchup really nice and neat and even, like we've been talking about. But I'm going to leave some little tiny areas, little tiny kind of like oval shapes, I guess, of white. And that's going to make it look like my ketchup is wet and shiny. And it is such a cool effect. And I like to do this on really any object that looks shiny. Sometimes fruits have different highlights on them. Anything that is a liquid can have a highlight on it, like this ketchup. And then once you leave the white highlight on one side, my research told me that on the opposite side there is a little bit of a shadow. So I can make this side a little darker just by pressing harder with my colored pencil. And I'm just going to work on this for a minute to sort of get the shadow blended nice and smoothly, get it as dark as I want, and making sure that I leave those little highlights white. And that makes my ketchup look a lot more like ketchup. So you guys are going to go ahead and get started on your coloring today. And don't forget as you work to always show neatness, try out a little blending, and see how many areas you can find to test out some value on your project as well.